Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the third and final day of virtual PLW. I'm Jill Murphy, live from Alexandria, Virginia with the national office. I'll be in the background with my teammates Mel and Ann, and we will be assisting with technical issues if you have them. If you weren't with us yesterday, there's some tools you can use. We can advance the next slide, and you can see those hopefully on your screen in a minute. There we go. There's the tools that you can use, way to set up your viewing options, and if you have a question, pop that into the question tab, hit submit, and we'll get to those at the end of each of our sessions today. Want to thank our sponsor, Black & Veatch. There they are. They've been sponsoring our sessions all week, and we really appreciate their support of PLW. Handouts, recordings, slides, everything's going to be available at the Post Leaders website, and that's www.same.org/PLW. In fact, Monday and Tuesday sessions details are already there, and we will get Wednesdays posted as well by the end of the week. So with that, I'm going to turn things over to my colleague Ann, and she'll kick us off. Maybe Ann's still on mute.
I was talking. That's the great thing about being on camera. You can tell if someone's talking and they forgot to hit unmute. Well, I was saying that here I am in the national office on this fine Wednesday. We all, I think, need constant reminders of what day it is. And so today is Wednesday. I'm Ann McLeod, again, Director of Meetings, Membership, and Business Development. So my role in post operations, I joined the post operations and membership team in January, really is to support our posts, look over our policies and procedures for posts, make sure we're supporting you in the best way that we can. And of course, Jill already. She also is here to support our posts. And as we were saying yesterday, so much of the value that our members get is from our posts. And so that's why it is so important to us to have this time with you, and we are always here to help you out. So what we are going to cover in today's session about resources is finding information about your posts and its members, the SAME member account, because that directly correlates to the information that you've got about your members and your posts, the Post Resource Center, our communities of interest, and a bunch of other stuff. And this afternoon, we have a session on communications and marketing, which really goes hand in hand with a lot of the things that we are going to be talking about today. So we are going to have our first poll of our last day, and we would like to know, have you logged into your Post Leader dashboard? So let us know if that's a yes, you do it all the time, if that's a once in a while, if it's a not sure, or if it's the what? The Post Leader dashboard. Let us know what your logging in status is on the Post Leader dashboard. Okay, looks like we have 47% that say once in a while, 20% say not sure, 23% with the what, and 9% all the time. Congratulations to all of you. So we are going to talk about that Post Leader dashboard in just a few moments. And I think Jill's going to cover this, but the number one thing that you need to know is you only get access to the Post Leader dashboard if you are a post officer. So we do need to have you on record as a post officer to do that. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Pop up the page with
oh, yep,
walk
let me,
through.
sorry about that.
Yeah, so definitely make sure that we have an updated officers roster. That is the only way that we can give you access to what we're about to show you. So you're going to click that login button at the top and enter your username, which is typically the email that you use when you get information from us, and your password. And that password, we usually set it up as your member ID number, but in the event you don't remember, there is a password reset button right below that, and it'll kick you a link to remind you or to reset your password. So if we go to your name that's at the top of the screen, we're logging in as Natasha, because she obviously is our database admin and has access to everything. You can scroll down to your account and you'll see a variety of things, including a post leaders section that says only available to post leaders. Yep, right there. So we're going to click on post rosters.
Oops.
And we'll do that without the highlighter and hopefully the mouse. There we go. And it'll say, hey, these are the posts that you are an officer of. You can click your post, and then you're going to see a bunch of information. This is where you go if you log in on a regular basis and you look and see, hey, are our officers up to date? And you can see everybody who's listed and what their position is and what their contact email is. This is also available to anybody that's in your post. They'll be able to log into their member dashboard, click their posts that they belong to, and see who the officers are. Now, right at the bottom there, it says additional post information right under the last name. And if we click that, that will give you just some basic information about your post, like your post size, what's the address that we have for your location, what region you're in, etc. And oh, when did you last update your bylaws? Very important, as well as when did we last get your annual report? And I will admit, sometimes it takes us a little time to get that all updated. I can guarantee you that Blue Ridge Post absolutely did submit their annual report this year, in case anybody in the audience is from that post and panicking. Okay, so if we go back, we can scroll down a little bit further, and you will see access to your post rosters. So let me just describe the post rosters. The first one is your full member roster. So that is everybody, regardless of what member type they are. That's all the people that are active members of your roster. Then you've got your new member list. These are the people who've joined in the last 30 days. So this updates constantly. So we recommend that you use this at least once a month. If you're a larger, medium or larger post, probably more often than that, maybe once a week. Go in there, see who's new, who's joined your post, and make sure you're reaching out to welcome them. Then you've got the new inactive members list. These are the folks that, if you were with us yesterday, we talked a little bit about them. This is a new report that we created, and these are the people who are who are not new, but these are people who are about to drop. So they have passed their renewal date. So if they were due to renew on July 1st, they're probably going to, but they didn't renew, they're going to be on that list. And that list will be good updates again all the time. These are dynamic reports directly linked to the database. So reach out to those folks before they drop, because they are in that 60-day grace period after renewal. After that, you've got your company and agency list. So these are your sustaining member companies and any agencies, or even sometimes we have a few educational institutions or nonprofits that belong to the organization as an organization. You'll find those there along with the primary contacts. You've got the inactive companies and agency list right below that. Your student member list if you've got any students. The next one, people are always a little confused about. It says, people who have left my post, what does that mean? So these are people who have moved out of your post, but are still a member of SAMe. Most likely they're going to be our folks in uniform who have PCS to another location. And so they've dropped your post, they've added their new post wherever they're stationed at now. And that just tells you they've come and they've gone. Okay, and then members who have completely dropped their membership. This is a great source of people to reach out to right. We are very sad when they drop their membership. So, go back to them and remind them that, hey, your membership dropped. Sometimes people don't even know. They have, maybe changed jobs or, whatever reason. Reach out to those folks. If they have a duplicate email, or not a duplicate email, but a secondary email, we recommend you tap that as well. Some people like to use a business email as their primary and then have a secondary that's a personal email. That way you're probably going to get to them. And then the very last list there is a full member roster just of emails. So for posts that are sending via maybe a Gmail account, a generic Gmail account, or they just want to upload the email addresses into whatever system they're using, you can go there and pull that list, and it's just going to be the emails. So great resource there. We scroll down just a smidge farther, then we've got all the different member types, and you can see we've got a lot of member types, and that can help you decipher some of the above reports. So these are the tools that are available to you in that post leader dashboard that can help you with continuing to engage and retain your members by reaching out to them via these lists. All right, and why don't we move on to the member account side of things?
Sounds good. Okay, as you can tell, everyone, I just learned how to use those fun highlighting tools. So thanks for indulging me. Okay, we're going to go back to the dashboard, in which case I am going to click on Natasha's name here because I logged in as Natasha. And obviously, when you log in as yourself, your name is going to appear there. So this member dashboard is a tool to help you personally unlock your benefits and value and help you help your post members do the same. So as you can see, our post leaders info was right over here. And we are going to talk about our own profile and then what you can use with it. So obviously, you can update your username and password. I am not going to do that right now. You can update contact information. So if you personally are moving, you've changed job titles, etc., this is where you can do this. It updates in our database immediately. And I strongly suggest that you encourage all of your post members to be reviewing this information from time to time. So for example, if you know that one of your post members recently changed companies or something, encourage them, ask them, hey, have you updated this in your member dashboard? It's super easy. Just tell them how to do it, and it gets updated right there. One thing that's very curious is we don't have job titles for a lot of people, and that is such an important thing for folks to add. So when you are looking at your own post rosters and you see missing information from folks, this is where they can put it in. And just to highlight, here at the bottom of this page is where we have all of our opt-in, opt-out questions regarding people's email addresses, the directory, and all of that good stuff. This is where folks can update that. So we're going to go back again to the dashboard, and that was my contact information that we just saw. Now let's go to my demographic information. This is where people can obviously update their demographic information. We've recently added this ethnicity. to our database. This is not something that anyone except for us at headquarters can see, but as we go into our diversity and inclusion efforts, it's something good to collect. It is completely optional. People don't have to add that on there. And again, it helps us get a good sense of what is the diversity of the SAME membership. Birth date is only required for young members. We've got gender in there, not required again. The employer field, oops, sorry about that. That is crucial because this is where people's dues structure comes from. So I would say, you know, I'm not really sure if you can update this yourself, but if you were to look at this and it is incorrect, then you contact us and we will update that for you. We've got some other questions here. Do you work for a small business? Are you enlisted? Occupation, that is someone's main area of practice. Again, as many people that can fill this out, the better. That helps us create programs and services for all of our members. You see these registrations and certifications. Here, people can designate, check these off, and that's great. So let's go back to the member dashboard again, and you're going to see where all this comes into play in a moment. My educational information, obviously, this is where you can enter your degrees, your schools, your majors. Very interesting information, of course, that we like to collect. All right, oops, let's go back to the dashboard. And one more thing, you can upload a profile picture. Here is Natasha and her two gorgeous daughters. So you can upload a picture if you so choose, which I highly recommend. Now, let's go and see where all this info comes out. The individual member directory. So we should have created a poll, but we've got all our polls accounted for today. We could have asked how many people have updated their member directory. We actually just launched these directories.
Actually, Anne, that is our next poll.
It is our next poll. Wow. That is great. So maybe we can get Tamel to launch that for us, see how many people have filled out their profile. And again, highly recommend that you do it. So when did you last update your profile? Let us know in the last 6 months, 6 to 12 months ago, you're not sure, or how do I do that? Which is what we're showing now.
Yeah, hopefully you have also gotten or will be getting, I know they're in the mail now, we do an annual sort of cleanup postcard to remind folks to go in and update their profile. And it went in the mail, I believe, last week. So you should see that in your, not your virtual mailbox, but your actual real mailbox coming up soon. It also has our new address because we are cleaning up and cleaning out our office as we prepare to move at the end of the month. So take note of that as well. All right, look at those results. Yes. Oh, that's
and
good.
Actually,
yeah.
Jill, you know what? My postcard came today.
Oh, awesome.
In the mail. So yeah. All right. Well, looks like we've got 43% that said in the last 6 months. Way to go. Awesome. 26% said 6 to 12 months, 26% not sure, and 6% how do I do that? Well, you guys, I hope that 32% of you is going to take care of this. You can even try to do it as we're going along right here on your other window. So this is the search where you can search for any member of SAME. So why don't we look for someone? I know I am going to look for one of my very favorite members, John Cawthorn. I don't know if John is on, but John, we're putting you to the test. All right, so here we found John, and it tells you his title, organization, city, and state on the results page. and we can click on John's name. Oh my gosh, always the model member. John has put his profile picture on there, which is so great. Sometimes, you know, you meet someone, you forget their name, you look them up. If their picture is there, you might say, oh no, I guess the person I met wasn't John Cawthorn. I wrote that down wrong. So you can see John's contact information, his professional info. It shows here the posts of which he is a member, and the communities of interest in which he is engaged. So this is a great way, obviously, to connect with other members, and also for you to find out more information about the members of your post. So one of the cool things about this is the communities of interest here are directly tagged. So if you click on one of these, you go to that community of interest and their page, which gives you the steering committee members and also the current members of the community of interest. So that is the wonderful individual member directory, which you can see is a great tool. Now we will go to the company directory. So you can look for any company, and let's look up our session sponsor, Black & Veatch. I'm just going to put in Black and search. So here you can see we've got two companies with the name of Black within their name. We're going to click on Black & Veatch. Tells you more about the company. And one of the great things here is it shows you which post Black & Veatch is a member. So another great resource if you're trying to connect with folks. And another thing I love about this company directory, which is different than the sustaining member directory, which is accessible at the top of this page, is it will give you a list of all the individuals who work with Black & Veatch and are sustaining member representatives. So this is another great tool for you, especially maybe if you had someone come to a post meeting and you knew their name was Mike something and they work for Black & Veatch, can't remember his name, you can come to the Black & Veatch page, find the person named Mike, and then maybe you can follow up with him and say, hey, Mike, you're not a member of our post, would love for you to join. And again, this just gives you some more information regarding the company that you have just searched. So we'll go back to this company search page. And as you can see, there's a number of ways that you can search for companies. And
yeah, this is a huge the sustaining member directory, which has some of these capabilities but doesn't drill down as far, is probably one of the pages that gets the most hits on our website. And in fact, I talked to a member earlier this afternoon who was looking for a company to partner with in Southern California, and I said, hey, go check out the the directory, and you can drill down and find exactly who you want to talk to at that company. So we know that this gets a lot of use, and I would highly recommend that if you haven't updated your profile, or you have a company, you're part of a company that hasn't updated your profile, go in and do that, because this just gets it's just used a ton by our membership and probably by non-members as well. So
definitely. Yeah, and we've got the post directory here. So you can see this lists all of our posts, and you can click on a post name, and this is going to give you the list of post officers that are on record. We actually had a question earlier about to define a post officer. So Jill, maybe you can talk a little bit about the different positions and what we mean about an official post officer.
Sure. We use the term post officer or post leader. Let me pop on my camera. We use the terms post officer, post leader kind of generically. Some posts that are larger posts that have a lot of activity, a lot of volunteers, they have a whole range of positions within their posts. So, you know, beyond the sort of the ones you see there on the screen where you've got a president, maybe a vice president, a sustaining member or membership POC, somebody who's the young member POC, treasurer, secretary. There's, you know, sort of those positions that you expect in most posts. If you give us that information, we will put it in, and those folks will have access to all of the post resources that I covered a little bit earlier. Sometimes you might have I think someone said, yeah, we have an emergency preparedness, you know, person who does, you know, programming in that realm. We may not have that exact title within the database, but we could certainly add them as a, you know, just a generic sort of director title. But if there's somebody in your post that should have access to the post roster, let us know and we can certainly add them. There are also, I think I just saw something from Dave Packard pop up about position descriptions. There are some position descriptions in the post operations manual, which I will admit is kind of under renovation at the moment. We've got to get a revised version out with some new updated information. But you can always use that as a resource, and that's available in the Post Resource Center, which we're going to show you in a little bit.
Yes. Yeah, great. Thank you for that, Jill. And I think, you know, one of the things about these post officers is this directly is populated by what we have in our database as the post officers who are on record. So if you have not let us know who your new officers are, this is going to be outdated. And, you know, this really is a great resource for all of our members. If they're interested in joining the Baltimore Post, they might not go to your website. They might come to this page. And if this page is outdated, they're not contacting the right people. So just another example of why it's important to make sure that we've got your up-to-date information officially on record. So continuing on through this, here at the bottom, you can also see in this directory the post members that I can go, and I can see here's all the people who are currently members of the Baltimore Post. You know, this is not interactive. You can't get this person's email address from here. You could go back to the dashboard in order to find that information. So if you yourself have not looked through this, let's go back to the posts page. We've got their post website linked right here, just so everything is connected to one another. You can see here are the company members of the post. So definitely encourage all of you to poke around, take a look at your posts listing within this post directory and make sure everything is up to date. And let's see, one more thing that we'll point out here under post memberships, that would be, for example, Natasha can check my post memberships, and this is where it shows which members she is here right now. She's only got Bahrain Field Chapter. If we wanted to, we can make that the primary post. Yep. And you know what? Let's have Natasha join the Baltimore Post. Again, up to 3 posts included in the membership. Someone can just hit add post, and there we go. It's all updated. So again, if you meet a member, someone who's currently a member of SAME, they haven't designated all their posts, they can simply come to this dashboard right here and they can make that update. So that's a little bit about the member dashboard. And I think now, why don't we jump over to the Post Resource Center?
Do you want to do, we've got communities of interest for last. Okay, yeah, let's go over to Get Connected. And then the Post Resource Center, that's the second drop down there. And there is a picture from a previous Post Leaders Workshop. I think that might be 2016. But here in the quick links section are the things that probably you're going to use the most. The second item is that change of post officers. We were just sort of talking about, really important to submit that on an annual basis so we know who your officers are. You can click on that and that'll take you to a fill-in form, put in the names. The one thing I do want to stress here is when you are installing, when you're installing officers, or even before you have elections, make sure that your folks are actually members. I can't tell you how often we get a change of officer report and there's, 1, 2, or sometimes even more names on there, and the people are not even members of SAME. You can't be an officer if you're, or serve in a leadership position if you are not an SAME member. So now that you have access to these directories, even if they're not a member of your post, you can go and see that they're at least a member of SAME. So that's a really important thing, is to fill that out and submit that on a regular basis. Some of the other things that are find a post, that'll take you to the list of all of our posts. So if we click over to that and scroll down, oh, there's last year's Post Leaders Workshop. You can look by state, you can look by region, you can look at our international posts. You can look at student chapters that we have currently set up. By the way, if you go there and you don't see your student chapter listed, it means we haven't had an updated report from them. So all that information is there. All right, let's go back to the Post Resource Center. There's the links to the strategic plan, there's the student chapter status report, and then right below the quick links is something called the Post Document Exchange. Let's click on that. This is the place to go for all kinds of resources, templates, samples. It's that very first thing that says best practices, documents, temples, and samples. So if we open up that, you can either double click there or you can use the drop down on the left side. You will see a whole host of options for things that you might be looking for. Don't reinvent the wheel. It's probably here. And if it's not there, email me, because I probably have it or a sample or could find it really quickly for you. Our annual report videos from past annual reports. You can, if you want to go back and look at those, you can look at those all the way back to what, 2015 it looks like. If we go back, you can do, there's some information on the centennial ideas. If your post hasn't decided what to do for the centennial yet, there's some ideas there. There's lots of information about events, and we'll certainly add the information about our virtual events that we covered yesterday, ideas for, different types of events, golf events, monthly meetings, how to do a regional meeting. We have usually have one big one in the Southeast area every year. Social events, things like that. Industry government engagement. Oh, the logos and images. Let's go to that one, because that's when we do get questions about. And you can download all different kinds of logos, the insignia, if you want to set up letterhead, envelopes. I'm not sure people do a lot of mailing anymore, but it's all there. The other thing that you probably may not be aware of is that if you would like a special logo created that is branded for your post, you can send me an email, jmurphy@same.org, and I will get that to our graphics designer, who will create a whole suite of branded logos for your posts that'll have your post name along with the SAME logo, the SAME Centennial, and I think it also includes the insignia, but I won't swear to that. But if you need any kind of logo, any kind of format, that's all here. If we roll down a little bit more in the menu list, let's look at the membership tab, because I can tell you in the membership, there are lots of things. So there are Things for member engagement. There's information that the membership community of interest has put together. So there's some, templates, onboarding guide there, strategic partner checklist. If you work with any of our strategic partners, there's some ideas there for you on how you could partner and what goal that would meet under the new strategic plan and how that might relate to your streamers. So some ideas there. If we go back over, there are things for recruitment, for retention, all the webinars that we've done on membership. You can go and do all the recordings there. Some ideas for new member orientation. We've got some posts that are really robust programs. San Antonio is one of them. There are some others that do some welcome series for their new members. So lots of ideas there under membership, young member engagement ideas. Just the list goes on and on. If we roll down a little bit farther, let's see what else we've got in our best practices area. All the post leader workshop, the previous PLWs, you can get to all of that information. The regional voice, I know what else we want to touch is the streamers. Let's go down to the streamers. Every streamer since 2013 submitted, you can find that in these folders. So take a look. If you're looking for a streamer, a lot of times we'll get people who are actually putting together their fellows package. And they're like, we did this in this post in, I think, this year. And sometimes you can go back and you can find that information here in all of these streamers. So if you click through to any one of those, you'll see everything that was submitted. Sure, go ahead and pick the Resilience streamer for 2017. Let's see what's in there. Yep. So you can see all of the posts that submitted a streamer for Resilience in 2017. So just a place for you to go, peruse, look around. If you can't find it, certainly reach out, ask me. I am happy to hunt that down for you. It's probably there, and it's naming. We might be calling it something that you're not used to it being called at your post, and that's okay. Just tell me what you want, and we'll dig it up for you. And I think that's probably what we've got to show on the Post Resource Center. Oh, you know what? There is one thing. Let's go back to the Post Resource Center and go all the way down. And below there, we've got some more links. Those are drop downs. So if you click on, let's say, the Post membership stats, there's your sort of monthly snapshot at the end of the month on where you stand with the Post membership numbers relative to where you started in the beginning of the year. 2020 is obviously not a great year for us, but we're working on it. So if you ever want to look at sort of the snapshot in time, this is where you can find it. These are the numbers that we use relative to streamers. Obviously, we're not going to do a membership streamer this year. We are going to forego that. But you can always come here and look and see where you stand as of the end of the month. And that's just, like I said, it's a snapshot in time. So it's when we have gone through all of the QC at the end of the month, because a lot of times we get stuff that comes into the database. People say, oh yeah, I'm going to join. You send them an invoice. They don't pay by the end of the month. So we have to take them off the membership roll because they're not actually a member yet. They haven't paid in that month. So we adjust the numbers accordingly. We clean up duplicates. We get a lot of people who maybe have a membership, can't remember how to log in, so then they join again. We do all that cleanup, and then we post the numbers here. So just so you're aware, that's how that works. Some of the other things that are here, I think, are pretty self-explanatory. If we scroll up down, some post-ops info, some information about the Streamers Awards, some guidelines on, financial issues, forms, sample audit, sample budget, those kinds of things. And then the last tab's really for the vice presidents to use. So that's really the Post Resource Center. Like I said, sometimes you can't always find what you're looking for. Just ask. All right. How about we move to our communities of interest?
Sounds good. Let me go back to our slides real quick. Alrighty. And sorry, I got to finagle all my different screens here. Oops. There we go. All right. So we have gone through the member account. We did our little poll. We did our member profiles, directories, post resource center. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about our communities of interest. Hopefully everyone is familiar with our communities of interest. We've got about 17 different COIs. Most of them are surrounding areas of practice, architectural practice, resilience, energy, etc. So, and why we're talking about this for the post, and I realized I forgot to turn my camera on, so I apologize about that, is because it really is your connection to a lot of speakers on technical topics. Many of you guys reach out asking for advice on, if you want to have a speaker at one of your monthly luncheons, or perhaps you're doing industry day and you're looking for more speakers. This is a really great way to reach out to our subject matter experts. Also, the COIs are putting on webinars all the time. So it's a great way to take a look at what have the COIs already put together. And if you see a recording of something that you thought was great, reach out to that speaker and ask, would they come and would they do something for your post? And of course, there are many webinars that are upcoming, and you can share them with your post, because as a member of SAME, they can participate in those. Most of them are free. And definitely add to your profile to stay in the know. So why don't we quickly go back again to the website and take a look at some of these communities of interest pages. So this is our main hub for the communities of interest, and it gives you a listing of all of the communities of interest. And why don't we check out small business? And so on the small business page here, you can see the steering committee, some announcements. Here is where we list upcoming education opportunities. And with the small business COI, we also list opportunities that are put on by groups other than SAME. So you'll see that here, and some other resources. So for example, if you've got a new small business that just joined your post, point them to this website. It's a super great resource for small businesses. Why don't we go back and take a look at another one? Why don't we look at energy? And here you again can see, here is a past webinar that they did, and they have linked a copy of the recording right here. So if you wanted to, for example, do a program on energy, you could come to this page, see what the most recent education that they have given, reach out to the speaker if you so desire. And another great place to look for past webinars is the SAME YouTube channel, where we put most of our recordings. We're working on, let's see what this is. I've never even clicked on this before. Oh my gosh. I knew that the energy COI would be organized. Here you can see, these are all the webinars that they've given so far in 2020, past briefings. So a great resource for you, and many of the other communities of interest, I believe, are organized in this way if you want to take a look and see what's out there. And of course, if you want to join a community of interest, so you get all of the announcements about that community of interest, you want to go to your member dashboard, and you can click on join a community of interest. Wow, looks like Natasha is a member of every single one of them. So it tells you which ones you're a member of. The great thing, you can go to the architectural practice page. You can see who the steering committee is. And again, another resource for all of you, say you wanted to do a program and include a component for our architect members, come to the architectural practice COI page. You can reach out to one of the steering committee members, look at the list of the current members. They all come up here. Hey, sort it by state, see who's in. Oh, look, the Phoenix Post. Maybe if you want to do a architectural practice webinar, you can see, look, there's 2 people in the Phoenix area who are involved in the AP COI, and you could reach out to them. Again, this is just another great resource to help you put on valuable programming for your post. I think that was what we had planned to cover today. I think there's lots of questions that are in the queue. So Jill, maybe if you want to address some of the questions, you and I can get some answers to folks.
Yeah, okay. We already talked about sort of defining the post officer role. So you know what that is. So there was a question about, when are dues renewal invoices mailed to individuals and sustaining member companies? So our renewal process is essentially a 4-month process. I think I talked a little bit about this yesterday, but so I apologize if you were with us and I'm repeating myself. But we start 60 days prior to a company or individual who is due for renewal, and we start with email. They also get a mailed invoice. We follow up with a whole series leading up to the point at which they are due for renewal. Our members are on a rolling cycle, so they are renewing at all different times during the year. So we have a monthly process. Katya Watts, who's part of the membership team, she takes care of all of this for us. And when they're sustaining member companies, we reach out to them. We send them, okay, here's the folks who are on your roster. Here are the posts you belong to. Here are the people who are in those posts. Tell us, is this still accurate? We made all of those updates. We send them another invoice, and then hopefully they have renewed. A lot of times people just forget. It gets lost in the fray. So we do have a 60-day grace period for both individuals and company members. And we continue to reach out via email with mailed invoices to all of the individuals at the end of that 60-day cycle. If they've not renewed, we let them know that their membership is going to drop. And for those that are a company rep, we then invite them to join as an individual. And a lot of times that's the point at which they get angry with their company for not renewing, and then we get a renewal. So it's a process, but we work that for really 120 days. And once a sustaining company drops, then we also have a member of staff who reaches out to them with phone calls to find out, maybe the person that we've been trying to reach has left, and the person who's taken their spot is ignoring the emails or ignoring the mail or doesn't understand. So they reach out and see if we can get them back. Or we reach out and find out, well, why aren't you going to renew? So that covers that. Yeah, sometimes not all the positions that you have in a post are, something that we have in our database. I think I used this example earlier. Someone said they have an emergency preparedness person. If that is not, that you have something that's on your roster of post officers or leaders or committee chairs, and you want that person to have access, you could just email me off the cuff and I'll add them and probably just put them in as a director. We don't have every single position that every single post has. Otherwise we'd have 300 positions, because some people call them officers, some people call them committee chairs, some posts distinguish, some don't. So, just let me know who those are. Let's see. Okay, what if there's just a change of one person or there is a mistake? Do you have to complete the full roster update? No, let's not make it too complicated. You can send an email to posts, that's POSTS at SAME.org, and just say, we need to make this update to our roster for this one person or this two person. It's fine. Easy to do. Elizabeth, is there a consolidated list of post membership leads only? There's not. That's something that we would run internally. It's not available externally. The membership COI does use that when they do their quarterly webinars or when they send out their newsletter. They will send that to all the membership POCs. So if you're not getting that, let us know. Let's see, is there a template available to complete for our post-annual report, and what do we do to submit that? Okay, so the annual report, you probably saw that in the Post Resource Center as we were sort of scrolling through there. Annual reports are always going to be due the start of the year, and there is a template that we provide. It is, we give you a PDF that says, okay, here's all the questions that we need to have you answer. So we give you a PDF that's sort of the template where you can go fill in the blanks, and then there is an online submission form, and you can just go and populate that submission form once you have all the answers. Okay, let's see, what else is there? All right, I think those are most of the questions. If you've got anything else, let us know now. But what I'm going to do in the meantime is I am going to ask Anne to give me 5 numbers so we can give out some more prizes.
Okie dokie. Let's see. Let's pick number 11 for Ryan Zimmerman, who actually is no longer in that since he took the season off. But
okay, 4 more.
Okay, let's see. How about 179?
Okay.
137 for the number of people who are currently engaged with the webinar.
Awesome.
282.
Okay.
And let's see, 35.
35. All right. Perfect. All right, so we will announce those folks who are prize winners when we come back after our break. And our next session, there's all our info if you need us. Our next session starts at 3:30 Eastern. So we're going to take a short break. We don't have a group activity today because our group activity is after our last session, which is going to be on marketing, communication, website, calendar, all kinds of good technical stuff. Our Marcom team has a lot of great info they're going to share. So join us back here at 3:30 Eastern and whatever that translates to in your time zone. And that is roughly 35 minutes from now. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you back here shortly. Okay, welcome back to part 2 of day 3, the last session of Virtual Post Leaders Workshop. And before we get ready to move to our last session, I want to tell you who's the winners from our break sponsored by RS&H. So our Wednesday afternoon winners are Randall Bailey from the Atlanta Post, Michael Good from Central Virginia, Sally Clark from Mid-Maryland, Ann Peterson from Omaha, and Brad Loomis from St. Louis. Congratulations. Look for something in your email from us. And with that, I am going to pass things over to my colleagues Stephen Carl and Francine Ham, also known as Frankie. And they're going to talk to you about communications, marketing, social media, websites, calendars, and a lot of other stuff. Stephen, it's all yours.
All right. Well, Jill, thank you so much. And welcome to the final session of the 2020 Post Leaders Workshop. And so this is the final session before the last group activity. So we hope you've stuck with us and are looking forward to learning more about communications and marketing. We're going to talk about some of the best practices that we've adopted here at the National Office, as well as provide some tips and insights as to things that you can try at your post to get members engaged and keep them informed on all the things that are going on. All right, so without further ado, let's get started. And thanks again to our session sponsor, Black & Beach. Okay, a little about me. I've been with SAME for 9 years, and I'm now the Director of Communications and Marketing, and I also oversee the Military Engineer magazine. I grew up in Massachusetts, went to college in Ithaca, New York, lived my 20s and early 30s in California, and now I've settled into Virginia, where I live just outside the Beltway. As I mentioned, I've been here with the National Office since 2011, and I guess my claim to fame is that I have edited over 50 issues of TME, and that's a lot of pages. In 2016, I was fortunate to work on the Vietnam commemorative issue. It was really the most rewarding experience I'd say that I've had here. Getting to know so many of our members who served in Vietnam was really inspirational. And then lastly about me, I have 2 young sons, Tucker and Casey. They are 7 and 3, and they definitely love trains and trucks more than anyone has loved anything. I'm pretty convinced of that. So on we go. What are we going to cover today? We are going to cover some of the means and methods of our communications vehicles, how to go through the website, post websites, why updating them is so critical. We're going to look at society news and how you can help get your members more recognition. I'll do a quick tutorial on the TME archives, which you may or may not be familiar with, and then talk a little bit about our upcoming Century book. And then I'm going to turn it over to Frankie, who's going to go through best practices for marketing, which I know is so important these days in this virtual environment. Finding people via email is really the predominant way that we are getting in touch with folks. All right, I want to start with a history lesson. And Jill told me I couldn't talk about SAME's history for the whole hour. And so I'm going to take about 2 or 3 minutes instead. So I hope that's okay, Jill. SAME was founded in 1920. As I'm sure many of you know, this is our centennial. And in the beginning, there were really 2 aspects of the society that were so crucial to both its development and really its success over the last 100 years. And one is the Military Engineer magazine, and the other are local posts. And together, they really did a fine job of both informing people of what was going on and then bringing people together so that they could build those relationships, which are so crucial. And I'll read a couple of quotes here that were from 1920. The first talking about the magazine. To maintain a national society whose membership is scattered from coast to coast, some organ of communication, a live and up-to-date journal was essential. The magazine was started in January of 1920, coinciding with the birth of SAME. And really from the beginning, it was about the technical aspects of military engineering, about civil engineering and construction, but also it was a way to celebrate the society and the impact its members and its posts were having. And that was foundational to its mission back then and remains so today. And then the other aspect of the society that's been around for 100 years is our posts. This wasn't something that 20 or 30 years into SAME, people said, oh, you should have posts. No, they said from the very beginning, finding ways for members to meet, to greet, to get to know each other and build those crucial connections was something that they foresaw being valuable. And in 1920, 16 posts were started. Another 7 formed in 1921. And I think this quote really brings home that point about the value of the posts. And this is from 1920. It says, local posts in bringing our members into close personal touch with each other are believed to be essential to the realization of our fullest usefulness. And I think that still rings true today, very much so. By the way, of those 16 posts that were started in 1920, 11 are still around today, and I'll read them off. So if you're one of those 11 posts, kudos to you, and let's keep it going for another 100 years. So of the 16, here are the 11 still around: Chicago, Jacksonville, Los Angeles, New Orleans, which is today Louisiana, New York City, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Portland, San Francisco, St. Louis, and Seattle. And the post established in 1921, all of which are still around today: Baltimore, Buffalo, Denver, Detroit, Minneapolis, St. Paul, San Antonio, and Washington, D.C. So there's your history lesson. Jill, I won't do it again. I'm moving on. But you can see 100 years later, some things look pretty similar. We have our posts and we have TME. So I guess those who started this place were onto something, and they did a few things right. So we are proud to have endured these two foundational aspects of the organization. As we celebrate our centennial, we really look to continue to use these two vehicles to support SAME's mission and its impact over the next century. Okay, so Jill mentioned this in her and Anne's presentation last session, but if you are a post or even a sustaining member and you do not have an official SAME logo, please reach out to us. Standardizing how we present ourselves across the society is really important to building our brand. And so we encourage you to use your official SAME logo. You'll see there's a couple of versions. There's one that has the full name, and then one that is just the acronym. Either is acceptable. Some are more appropriate in different circumstances. And then if you're a sustaining member, we proudly have you put this on your website, on marketing materials. 1958, by the way, is when our longest standing sustaining member, Leo A. Daly, joined SAME. So that's why I use that one. So anyway, reach out to Jill or email our graphic designer, and we can get that taken care of for you. All right, it is now time for a poll. So this poll is says, do you know which year your post was founded? And if you do, great. If you don't, I'm going to show you in a few minutes how you can search that, and when we go through the TME archives in a little bit. So we have the poll results. All right, so yes, absolutely came in with 56%, and I could take a decent guess came in second. All right, well, hopefully at the end of this presentation, you'll all be able to discover when your post was founded and a whole lot more about your post. So we'll get to that in a bit. All right, moving on. So we talked a little bit a minute ago about the military engineer and its duration over the last 100 years. Well, today, as you can see, we have a whole lot more communications vehicles. And there's a reason for that, and it's because as technology has advanced, so are people's preferences and how they consume information. And so SAME has had to adapt. We have the website. We have 100+ post websites. We have our event microsites, like if you were to go to jetc.org. We have the military engineer, of course. We have the monthly real-time newsletter. We even have a companion SAME News website, which really is intended to look and feel like the national website, but it contains our blog, the issues of the magazine, the archives of the newsletter, and then of course we have social media, and our posts and our COIs often have newsletters as well. So there are a lot of ways that our members are hopefully hearing from SAME, whether it's nationally or locally. And I think it's important, though, to remember that people are going to consume information in their preferred means. So what you'll see across our communication platforms is that while the actual platform is a little unique, and frankly, we'll get into that a bit later in terms of character length or graphics requirements, the actual messaging that we're putting across, we try to be as consistent as possible. And that's because we know that people aren't necessarily consuming it across all 12. They might read TME and they might just follow us on social media, or they just read the newsletter and they come to our website once a month. So we want to make sure that the vernacular we're using, and then if you can adopt that at your post, some of the vernacular and whatnot would be really helpful, I think, as we build our collective knowledge base among the society. Okay, so this slide, I want to talk a bit about navigating the national website. And we've heard from posts from members over the last couple of years that they have challenges in finding things on the website. So I wanted to do a little bit of a deep dive into why things are where they are, how we arrived there. So hopefully that will help you navigate a bit better when you're looking for things, or even telling someone in your post or the new member, hey, here's where you can find this. So the design of the website, we refined it in 2019. I'm not going to say a redesign. We actually redesigned it back in 2015. But in 2019, we really tried to emphasize the members. So if you go to different web pages now, you'll see we really try to have the members foremost with strong images and testimonials. You see quotes on as many pages as we can at the bottom, just to drive home that member experience. So that's something we implemented a couple of years ago, and we think that it's in a better place now than it has been. So in terms of the actual website architecture, you'll see there in the bottom left of the slide, it says menu categories are organized by where the information fits within the organizational structure. What does that really mean? So back a few years ago, as I said, when we first redesigned the website, we organized everything by sort of local, national, personal, and then kind of macro. And to us, it made a lot of sense. But I understand that not everyone thought it was so simple. So I wanted to take a minute or two and just kind of go through it. So for instance, if you're coming to the website and you're looking for something that is post related, you want to find a post, you want to go to the Post Resource Center, look at post updated calendar events, you're going to go under Get Connected. Anything under Get Connected is really the local level. If you want to explore our national level programs, whether it's communities of interest, the Academy of Fellows, awards programs, that's going to live under Become Involved. Grow Professionally is really your personal level, your career growth, the Job Center, webinars, the credentialing information, leader development program access. So Grow Professionally is really your personal avenue. Stay Informed is pretty self-explanatory. So we have links to magazine, the blog, social media, newsletter. Discover SAME is sort of that location where the broad society-related information lives, and whether that is sort of our about, our history, the governance, contact the national office. So this is good for members, but also for non-members. A lot of people who are not part of the society need to find something out. They might come under Discover SAME. So we try to store that information there. And it could be everything from I want to find out who SAME's presidents were over the last 100 years, or look at your tax return from 2016 and your financial information. That's all going to be in that spot. Okay, so that was a bit on navigating the national website from a where can I find information. Here is something I added, and I hope you find this useful. While SAME does not have a native app, we hope to in the next couple of years as we sort of relook at our systems. One thing you can do is you can add the website as a browser app on your phone. And the good thing is it doesn't take up any additional memory. And you will see some steps there if you're an iPhone user or an Android user. And I would encourage you to go try this out. It's really easy. It takes about 2 minutes at most. And before you know it, you'll have the SAME website right on your smartphone. And you click that button and it'll pop right up. The website is mobile friendly. We're trying to improve it every day. We always, when we add web pages or redesign pages, we always come with a mobile first approach because we know that our penetration on mobile devices continues to increase. So if you want to give that a shot at some point and then spread the word to your posts, so we think that'd be a great way for you to get quicker access to the stuff on the web. All right, so we've addressed the national website, and now we're going to look at post websites. Why updating them matters. Really, post websites are the #1 way that members, but really importantly, non-members find you. Jill and Ann went through some of the sort of behind the scenes tools and resources that post leaders have, but you got to keep in mind that those tools and resources are available on the administration side of the website, to registered users, not necessarily to any person who comes across your page, whether a person who comes to your event and they're not a member. So we need to make sure that the information is featured to that outside world. So I have here as an example the Greater Kansas City Post, which really does a good job of keeping their website up to date. And you'll see there's 8 items here that I put down, and these are not all of them for sure, but I figured they were kind of the 8 important ones that we could touch on, and in some ways they're in order of importance. If you at your post really only have the bandwidth to keep a couple of things updated, you should have your upcoming events and your points of contact. Really, that is the minimum. That way someone can come and find your event and they can contact your post leaders. You'd be surprised at how many members, especially those who work kind of regionally, will utilize the SAME calendar to organize their business trips. They'll see when there are clusters of events happening, or if they are in town for a meeting with an agency or another client, they will see if there's a post meeting. They'll try to match up their schedule to get 2-person, 3-person out of it. So we have heard from people who have commented to national leadership, the national office, hey, how come such and such post didn't put their event on there? I was in the area, I would have gone. So we can't stress this enough. Really update those post web events. If you are one of the 70 to 80 posts that have your website hosted by the national office, as soon as you add your event, it will automatically feed the master calendar, which is what so many people use to help plan their schedules. And we'll show you how to do that in just a minute. And then as you go down the list here, you'll see sustaining members. As it was mentioned earlier this week, recognizing those sustaining members is crucial. They are so foundational to what we do, and having their logos or their names on your post website is really a great idea. Past presentations, whether you had an industry day or briefings, put those on there so people can go and re-reference them. If you have scholarships, it's great to have that on there as well. So people who are looking for scholarship information, whether high school or college, can find that and get engaged with your post that way. As we go down the list, these are sort of more the desired versus required, but photos or highlights, if you have that capability to put those up there from your events. Something about your post history. I'd argue that people who appreciate things more and have kind of understand the history of it, that they're going to be more intrigued, more engaged with your post. And then lastly, local partnerships, whether it's chapters or universities or just other organizations in your local area, put them on there as well. We really want to build that community in your area. That's what posts are so great at, is being that community asset. And this here is a screenshot of the master calendar, and you can see the different color coding and the categories on that slide. This is what I referred to when I said that if your post has your website hosted through the national office, as soon as you add your event to your post page, it'll feed this automatically, and it'll show up as a post event or a partner event or a virtual event. If your post does not have its website hosted through the national office, we can still add your event to this page. You just need to email us. You see there, webmanager@same.org. If you send Justin, he's our web manager, you send him an email, he can ensure that that gets up on the website. Okay, so this is where we're going to do a quick demonstration, see how you can update or add rather an event to your post website. So bear with me as I share my screen and do a quick demonstration. Okay, so there we go. Now I am already logged in as an administrator, and so I skipped that step, but your web manager would log in using their credentials, which are provided to them by us at the national office. So your web managers do have those, and if they don't, please reach out and we will provide them ASAP. So I've gone to the Boston Post web page because I grew up in Massachusetts, and so I'm gonna, for today's purposes, say that I'm part of the Boston Post. And if you come to the top, this is what you'll see. This is the module to add an event. I will go back to the Boston Post page. And this is what I see as an administrator. And you can see this little plus sign right here. And I'm going to click on that. And it's going to pull up this module that you just saw. And I'm going to title it. Oh, look at that. There's already one in there. Boston Post Centennial Event. Even though the Boston Post had theirs last fall, it remembered it. So it pre-populated it. There we go. I'm going to pick a date. How about I pick August 27th at 4 p.m. That sounds good. Now here's where it gets important, the category. I mentioned the color coding on the master calendar. You'll see golf tournament, national event, webinar, centennial celebration, post event, a virtual event. This is really critical. You need to categorize it what it is so that people who are filtering the calendar will find yours in the appropriate spot. So I'm going to click Centennial Celebration, right? And then the location is immaterial. That's actually more complicated than it needs to be. So I leave that blank. And then down here, you'll see we've pre-populated the description box with the real key information that you need to have. And all you would have to do is type in event name, Boston Post Centennial, event location, we'll say Fenway Park, event time, August 27th, et cetera, et cetera. And all I would then do is scroll down here and click on update. And lo and behold, in about 15 seconds of buffering time, your post event would be added and it would simultaneously feed the master calendar. So that's all you have to do. We have documentation in the handouts today, which will show you exactly how to do it step by step with screenshots. But I just wanted to give an overview to kind of show you how easy it is and just reinforce the importance of posts doing this. All right, I'm gonna X out of this and not save it because I don't want to inadvertently mess up the Boston Post website. They would not be pleased with that. And I'm gonna go back to our slide deck. Okay, now it's time for a poll. Does your post add its event to your post website? Again, yes, absolutely. Usually, but depends on the event. Only when someone tells us to. We have a post website. Hopefully we don't have a lot of people pick that one, but you never know. All right, wait for those responses to come in. Let's see, what are our results? All right, 66% say yes, absolutely, always, and only 2% said we have a post website. So good, that's progress. Hopefully this time next year, it'll be more like 98% say yes, and the 2% are the people who are just voluntold to join the organization this week and told to come to Posters Workshop. So that's what we'll strive for next year. All right, moving on. So we've talked about websites, and now we're going to talk about magazines. Okay, so in each issue of the Military Engineer, we have a section called Society News, which I hope you've seen and read and enjoyed. This is something that we take a lot of pride in, and it's really grown over the last few years. It's been a concerted effort of the leadership team to really feature members, to highlight posts, and to really bring attention to the impact that the organization has collectively. We'll talk in a second about the annual report, but it was alluded to a few times earlier this week by Heather, by Charlie, by Joe, by others, that collectively SAME's impact is huge. And Society News is a way for us to really showcase that at the local level. And you'll see here, these are a couple of screenshots from a recent issue of the magazine. We rely on posts to send us content. We don't have a, we have an editing team here, but we don't have a team of writers and reporters. So we rely on the volunteer members to send us in the content, and we try to make it as easy as possible. You'll see I have a editor@same.org email address, and we would say if your post has an event, even if it's virtual, or whether it's a socially distant event right now, or once we get back to normal, and we have big industry days and scholarship outings and whatnot, take a couple of photos, write up 100 or so word description, and send it in to us. Just that simple, and we will find a way to get it in. We have here, we have the Japan post, we have the Guam post, the new Cleveland field chapter, San Francisco post are some of the ones highlighted in that example. And so post notes is really that way to showcase what our on a frequent basis what our posts are doing, because we don't want people to see themselves in the society. it's not too different than when you pick up your alumni magazine from your college or university and you go right to the back and see, okay, what do my peers do? My graduating class, what are they up to? That's what we want to, encourage people to really want to see themselves in the society and therefore see themselves in the magazine. You'll also see another screenshot. It's titled Post Best Practices. We've been doing this the last few months, and we're going to continue to do it more and more. When Jill was showing the Post Resource Center earlier in the previous session, you may have seen some images that were talking about Post Best Practices. So we in this instance, engaged the Mid-Maryland Post, which has done a great job over the last few years of reinventing itself. And we thought they had a story that they could share with other posts that may be finding themselves in a challenging predicament. The Mid-Maryland Post, once the Fort Detrick Post, really just took on new mission, a new geographic area. They branched out to new agencies, new partners. And so we wanted to capture that sort of story here. So we interviewed some other leadership and we put it in the magazine. And then this actual article is now also posted on Post Resource Center. We've done the Greater Kansas City Post, the San Antonio Post. This most recent issue, which you may or may not have seen yet, the Philadelphia Post. And we're going to do more of these. So if your post has a best practice and you want to share it with a wider audience, please reach out to us and we can find a way to hopefully get you featured. Okay, moving on. This is the annual report I was speaking of a couple of moments ago, and others have alluded to this week. It's all about recognition, right? And it's all about our collective impact. The Post annual reports, which are so critical, and the streamer submissions are really what build this annual report. The Society's annual report is a requirement. It's a legal obligation we have. We could just throw some numbers out there and send it in, with our audit and say, okay, we had this much revenue and this much expenses and this many numbers. We could do that. But we chose to go this route, which is a celebration of the impact of our Society's members and our partners and our stakeholders. So in your July-August issue of the magazine, which if you don't have it in your mailbox, you can also find it on the website, is the 2019 annual report. Remember we have a tail of a few months as we collect all the data and put it together. So these are some screenshots from previous years, but the 2019 annual report is out now, and we hope you take a look at it and are inspired to keep serving the Society. Okay, so moving on to the next resource. This is a members-only resource, and I won't spend too much time on this, but I want to bring your attention to it because you may or may not be aware. A couple years ago, SAME entered into a partnership with an organization called Jstor, whose mission is to preserve historic documents, for lack of a longer explanation. It's even funded by the Carnegie Foundation, so it has a lot of kind of power behind it, and it's got a lot of partnerships. And we were really privileged to be asked to join it. They approached us and said, "Hey, would you be interested in providing us the opportunity to showcase your collection in our broader collection, and in return, we'll do it all for free. The only catch is, you have to be part of our collection that is used by researchers and universities and other groups. It's kind of an academic bent." And we said, absolutely, that sounds like a great idea. So we did that, and now dating back to the beginning of 1920 and even 1909, which is a longer story I won't get into, professional memoirs, which is the forerunner of TME. But back to 1920, everything is digitized and available online in a user-friendly database, free to members and to posts. So we're going to, in the next slide, is going to show you the steps you can do that. But this is a great members-only benefit, and we hope you get a chance to explore it. So I won't read through all this, but this is referenced in the handout, so you can download this and have it. A number of posts have used this over the last several months to research their history and part of SAME Centennial. Other members have come to us and been fascinated with the wealth of information that's in there, both from a technical standpoint and from a Society standpoint. So I won't belabor this slide, just know that it's in the handouts, and you can go back and re-reference this. As I mentioned, a number of posts have used the archives over the last year to celebrate centennial celebrations. You'll see the Alaska post, I'm sorry, the Anchorage post did a history of Alaska and utilized the archives extensively. The Guam post put a great video together for their celebration. and used a bunch of images that they found in the archives. And over on the right there, you'll see that's a screenshot from an old issue of the magazine as you would find it if you were to peruse the archives in Jstor. All right, so that's TME Archives, and it's another great members-only resource. I know Jill and Ann talked about some of them earlier, really trying to beef up that part of the value that we offer. So this is one aspect. Okay, I have one more slide before I transition over to Frankie, and that is a PSA for the upcoming SAME Century Book. All right, we have contracted with a group to put together a anniversary book for our centennial. And it's really going to be a collection of our past, but also a look ahead to our future. We articulate where we want to go over the next 100 years. And it's been publishing in the spring of 2021. The intent is to try to capture some of the post-centennial celebrations in there, which is why we're waiting to publish it until next year. We're going to open pre-orders later this year, most likely after SBC. So more to come on that, but want to make you aware of this this really neat keepsake that we're putting together as an organization, and it will be available for purchase later this year and into 2021. All right, so that is communications aspect of this presentation. And without further ado, I'm going to do a shift change here. And as we do that, we're going to introduce a poll, and then we will bring on Frankie, our Senior Marketing Manager.
And I just realized that my audio was not working. So let's go ahead and take this quick poll. How many emails do you deploy per week? All right, great. This is great. Thank you. It looks like we have 56% coming in as sending out 1 email per week, and then followed up with 25% sending out 5 emails per week, and then 11% sending out 2 emails per week. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to share that information with me. I'd like to go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Frankie Hammy. I'm the Senior Marketing Manager. I've been with SAME for the past 6 months. My background is with associations and marketing as well as membership. I love to do Samurai Sudoku, crossword puzzles, and I also like to do interior design. I just received my renewed passport in the mail the other day, so I am ready to travel, but only when it's safe. So I'm going to share with you best practices for email in terms of subject lines, plain text versus HTML, list management, as well as social media, excuse me. So when it comes to best practices for email subject lines, you want to follow these guidelines. First, in terms of personalization, whenever possible, always use the recipient's first and last name, not only in the subject line, but as well as in the body of the email. The more relevant and personal your email subject lines are, the higher your open rates will be. You also want to make sure that you're very clear about what your email delivers. What is your email about? What are you offering? The key, again, is just make sure that you're very clear about what you're offering in the email, because you don't want to have that sort of bait and switch situation going on. Another best practice to implement is use numbers in your subject line. Subject lines that have a number convey a sense of credibility, and oftentimes the heart numbers can catch someone's eye more than just a general text. You also want to communicate urgency. So if you have a limited time offer, you want to communicate that sense of urgency around that so people will act quickly. So instead of using a subject line that says, we have a special offer, you may want to consider flipping that around and saying something along the lines of, don't miss our limited time offer on A, B, and C. Another great way to grab your audience's attention is to pose a question. This makes people realize that they may have a problem in need of solving. And one last tip that I'd like to share that's not on this slide, but in this day and age, most people are looking at their emails on their mobile devices. So you want to make sure that you try and keep your subject line short. Try and use up to 24 to 60 characters, which is recommended. and you'll probably see more open or higher open rates. Next, I'd like to talk about the best practice for plain text versus HTML. In this example, you see obviously a plain text email. It doesn't have any bells and whistles. It can't be formatted. Links can't be embedded. You can't even put colors in it. So this is an example of a plain text email. And the next slide will show you an example of an HTML email. And if you're not familiar with HTML or what that stands for, it means hypertext markup language. I know, sounds sexy, doesn't it? But in these two examples, you see that with HTML emails, it allows you to have more of a visual effect, more appealing. You can embed images and videos, and it's just more appealing to look at. In these two examples, you see the limited series newsletter that we produced, as well as the monthly newsletter that Stephen produces for Real TME. So which is better? Which should you choose? Plain email text, or should you just use HTML? Well, for personal emails, obviously just use a plain text email. If you're doing email marketing to like volumes of subscribers or members, definitely HTML. Again, the HTML allows for the imagery, the formatting. You can embed the links and images. And also, if you're having a transactional email where you're asking someone to register for an event, you can include a button for that, or you can also include a button for, donate now if you're wanting to donate to the foundation. So we're going to move on to another best practice in terms of managing your list. Just a few things I want to highlight specifically in this slide is to make sure that you keep your email list clean. Go ahead and delete any invalid emails, any bounced emails, or emails from inactive or even unengaged members. And probably the most important thing about email marketing is that it is permission-based, meaning that you can't send someone an email without their consent. And there are a couple ways that you can do that. That's either by a single opt-in or a double opt-in. In both instances, the user has to give us their email address in order for us to send them relevant information. You also want to let your audience manage their subscriptions or their frequency. So in email marketing, one thing to remember is that if you send out too many messages, it could be harmful. So according to some research that I've seen in the past, 69% of email users will unsubscribe from emails because the sender is sending way too many emails. So the rule of thumb that we use at National is we like to typically send 1 to 2 all member emails per week. If you have inactive or unengaged members or subscribers, they're not looking at your emails, they're not clicking on it, you may want to think about doing a campaign where you can try and bring them back into the fold. You may want to do a recreate your subject line so it's more compelling. You may want to personalize your campaigns, or even think about offering them something interesting, such as a giveaway or even a discount coupon. And then finally, you want to make sure that it's easy for people to unsubscribe. Just as we want people to subscribe or come into the fold, we also want to make that process easy if they want to unsubscribe. So now it's time for another poll. What social channels do you use most? Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, or what's a channel? I'll give you a few seconds to let us know. Okay, thank you for taking the poll. It looks like 53% are using Facebook and followed by 36% using LinkedIn. Thank you again for taking that. So with social media best practices, we encourage all the posts to use social media to spread the word about your local events, sharing fun facts, member accomplishments, and more. And so when you're sending out your posts, make sure that you're sending them out once a week at a minimum. You also want to make sure that you are responding to all the messages that you receive. And you also want to make sure that it's fun. share an image or a GIF or use an emoji instead of just plain text. It's been stated that roughly 65% of people seeing a combined image and text will retain that information, roughly 65% more. So go ahead and make your social media fun, share what your posts are doing, and get the word out, and just make sure that you're not posting too infrequently, because people will come to your page and realize that your information is outdated and may not want to come back. So in terms of social media with the national office, I just wanted to run through where you can find us. So at the national office, you can find us at SAME National. With Facebook, there is no character limit on Facebook, but you can just be cautious and don't, write a book, but you want to get your information out and be short and sweet, because with social media, all the messages that are out there, we only have roughly 9 or 10 seconds to capture someone's attention, So make sure that your information is concise and clear and short and to the point. And as well with, I want to go back 1 second with that. With Facebook, you also have an image size of 1200 by 630. So for LinkedIn, you can find us at the Society for American Military Engineers, and the body of the post can contain up to 1,300 characters, and the image size is 1200 by 628. And with Twitter, you can find us at SAME_national. With Twitter, you can have up to 280 characters, and the image size is 440 versus 220. And if you haven't been on Twitter lately, or you're not familiar with it, take a peek at one of the hashtags that Stephen and our social media person use here at National. The hashtag is SAME100, where they post a lot of information about the centennial. And then you'll also will be seeing hashtags for a virtual event for SBC coming up soon as well. So again, with social media best practices, send out a post at least once a week, respond to all messages in a timely manner, and make it fun, and make it happy, and use some imagery along with it for your text. This slide contains SAME communications and marketing resources. This is where you can find information on updating your post websites, TME archives, how to send in post notes, marketing and social media guidelines, and some miscellaneous, which not really miscellaneous, but that's where we put it. So that's where you'll find our SAME privacy policy, as well as the standards for the logo and the insignia use. So as we have our parting thoughts, I just want to say that your member engagement is key. So please get involved and stay involved, because you are our greatest asset. I'm sure you've heard over the past few days that virtual SBC will be coming to you soon. As a matter of fact, it will be 84 days until it goes live. And I will be reaching out to you asking for testimonials to let us know what you're excited about for the upcoming event. And we're only looking for roughly a 30-second video, just telling us what you like about the event, what you're most looking forward to. Then we'll also have some marketing tools, or a marketing toolkit will be available soon. So please watch your social channels and your emails for that information. Time for questions. Do we have questions?
We do have questions. First question is from our friend Cindy Lincecum. She wants to know if we have guidelines or suggestions on how a post can begin to collect and build an archive for their website. So that sounds like a Stephen question.
Stephen question.
Yeah. So Jill, could you repeat it? I want to listen again and make sure I understand it properly.
Do we have guidelines or suggestions on how a post can begin to collect and build an archive?
Okay, sure. So I think, fortunately, 100 years ago, the SAME folks started ours for us. So they did the heavy lifting, and we just kind of continue adding stuff to the queue. If you're starting for the first time, I would build a file repository, which is PDFs and images, and store it in a safe place so that you can archive it on the web. And today with the cloud, everything, once it's on there, and it's not going anywhere. There's usually a lot of fail safes that if that information's been uploaded to a website, it's living in the cloud somewhere and it's preserved, unless you go through a lot of steps to try to delete it. So Cindy, I would say that as your post is building its history, aside from the stuff that's captured nationally, whether it's in the magazine or the newsletter or what have you, on your local level, I would say to have a single repository, and then whether that's part of the post's a post officer, or it's transitioned, or the post web manager, use that as the ground zero, if you will, and then keep adding to it over time, but then get it online so that it doesn't disappear.
Okay. Great comment here from Jim Wershing. He says, Stephen, emphasize the importance of maintaining a current post officer contact info on the website. As I travel, I try to connect with other posts in my area, and oftentimes the info is wrong or outdated or missing. And he goes, and that's too bad, because I really want to build relationships when I travel to other posts. So just a note from another member.
Yeah, and Jill, let me just echo that. Justin, our web manager, he is available to support posts and to help them get their websites in working condition, and to show them kind of the ways in which to organize their contact information, especially in their events. But we really encourage posts to take on the management of the website itself. Some posts rely on Justin more than others. Some of the posts that maybe don't have the same bandwidth, but the ones that we see that do the best job of keeping up to date, current, and kind of vibrant websites are the ones that own it. They have skin in the game, they do it themselves. Excuse me. So we would encourage you to reach out to Justin, get the web. We have web tutorials, as I mentioned earlier. The handouts online. Jill showed them as well about doing some stuff to your website. But really own it, because as Jim pointed out, you don't know who's going to come looking to find out information on your post. And you don't want to have that be the day that someone came who really could have changed things for the better, and they just, they couldn't find you, so they said, oh well, I'll try somewhere else. And it's really, it sounds maybe like a lot to update the post website, but it's not. A couple hours a month, you find a volunteer, maybe a young member or a new volunteer who's looking to get engaged, to do so, from their computer, and maybe doesn't have the time to travel to other things, but they can support you in that way. So we would recommend that. I know Cindy, who asked the question earlier, Cindy in the Pikes Peak Post did that just a couple of years ago. They found a young member who was willing to do it, and they've done a great job since. So that's what we would encourage.
Okay, great. And you answered our next question, which was how much time do most posts spend updating their websites every month? So a couple of hours, yeah?
Yeah, well, I would say a couple hours probably is all it would take, to kind of do the bare minimum that I showed earlier, keeping the events updated in the